Is Mickey Mouse above the law? Mickey Mouse is the most recognized mascot in the whole world. He is the face of the Walt Disney Company. This company has 12 theme parks across 3 continents. They produce nearly 750 movies, and the company is worth almost $90 billion. Here's a crazy fact. When Walt Disney bought the land for Disney World in Florida, he turned it into its own city. With that much money and power, is there anything that can stop the House of Mouse? The answer is yes, the law. Even a company of that size still has to abide by certain laws. But here's the interesting thing. Disney also created new rules and laws of its own. Let's talk about this city in Florida that Disney owns. In the late 1960s, Walt Disney bought 27,000 acres of undeveloped land in Florida. He hired some smart lawyers to help him turn it into a city called Reedy Creek Improvement District. They've got the government to grant them the same abilities as any other town. They could produce electricity and write building codes. They even have their own fire department. The Reedy Creek Fire Department has 4 fire stations and over 150 full-time firefighters and paramedics. How's this for a statistic? In over 50 years, they've never lost a single human life due to a structure fire. And they were still the first company in Florida to answer 911 calls because 911 didn't even exist until 1968. Disney World is very important to Florida. As a business, it accounts for almost 3% of the state's economy. That's why there are some laws that keep it safe even more than other businesses. For example, Disney World is the only permanent no-fly zone in the state of Florida. A no-fly zone does exactly what it sounds like. It's a law that says you can't fly anything over a designated area. That means no airplanes, no helicopters, no drones, nothing. To give you an idea of how important no-fly zones are, guess where else they have them? The White House, the Capitol Building, Mecca, the Holy Religious Site, Area 51, and of course, Disneyland and Walt Disney World. So they're in pretty impressive company. But there is one thing that Disney World doesn't have, a jail. You may have heard rumors about Mickey Jail on the internet, but that's all they are, just rumors. In reality, there's just a temporary holding room where security keeps troublemakers. That's because Disney doesn't have their own police force. Their security works with law enforcement from Orange County, Florida. In fact, there are no guns anywhere on Disney property. There are other strange rumors you may have heard about Disney World and Disneyland. Did you ever hear the one about how no one ever dies on Disney property? The legend says that emergency responders never call the time of death there. They just keep doing CPR until the ambulance is off the property. That way, Disney can always say that no one has ever died there. It's a fun legend, but it simply isn't true. However, here is a fun legend that is true. You can bring a mini horse with you into the park. Disneyland and Disney World are proud to welcome disabled guests to the park. Most disabled folks with service animals use dogs, but guess what? If you have a mini horse that helps you, Disney says you can bring them in. Have you ever seen those videos of service dogs meeting costume characters like Pluto? Now you can get one with your mini horse meeting Mulan or Winnie the Pooh. There are also some surprising secret rules and laws about Disney you might not know. Did you know that no Disney employees are allowed to point with their finger? It's true. The reason is simple. In some cultures, pointing with the single finger is an offensive gesture. So when Disney employees give directions, they point with 2 or more fingers. So it sounds strict, but it's actually a thoughtful rule. Another rule in Disney parks is that most of the American flags are not real regulation flags. If you've been to a Disney park, you've seen lots of American flags, especially on Main Street, USA. But almost all the flags are just a little bit wrong. They have one less stripe or they're missing a few stars. Are you wondering why they would do that? It's because regulation flags are supposed to be raised and lower, and on certain holidays and deaths, they are put at half-mast. But the flags in Disney parks never move. So they decided to change them so they're not regulation flags. That way, they're not disrespecting the rules of the flag. One other secret rule of Disney parks is for your benefit. That rule is, There has to be a trash can every 30 feet inside the theme park. Check it out next time you go. You never are more than 30 feet away from a trash can. And guess where all that trash goes? Down through the bottom of the trash can and into pipes that run through secret tunnels. That's right, there are hidden tunnels everywhere under Disney World. They're called utilidors. It's how their employees travel, and visitors aren't allowed to go down there. If you try to sneak in, you'll end up in Mickey jail. But seriously, if you really want to see them, there's a 5-hour tour that takes you down there. There's one final secret rule that you might not have known about Disney World, and that's what kind of sodas you can get. It's not exactly a law, but all Disney parks in the US serve only Coke products. Walt Disney made a deal with Coca-Cola back when the park first opened. They supported him, so his business remains loyal to them. That's why, no matter where you go, you won't find a Pepsi or a Dr. Pepper in the happiest place on earth. But here is the most interesting way that Disney runs into complications from the law. You probably know Disney owns Marvel Comics and all their superheroes. That's why you can watch all the Marvel movies on Disney+. You can even meet the Avengers in Disneyland. But you won't find any rides or costume Marvel characters at Disney World in Orlando. You know why? Because of a contract that makes it legally impossible. Back before the Walt Disney Company bought Marvel, they were already in another park, Universal Studios, right there in Orlando, just miles from Disney World. There was an Incredible Hulk roller coaster ride and Doctor Doom ride. You can meet Spider-Man and get his autograph. When Marvel made that deal, Universal Studios had a clause in the contract. It said that no other theme park on the East Coast could feature those Marvel characters. Crazy, right? So even though Marvel owns them, even though all their movies are on Disney+, they still can't appear at the Disney World parks. And that is the part of the law that has the most power over Walt Disney Company, contracts and copyrights. Here's the greatest example of the power of copyright law. You know Mickey Mouse, that iconic mascot we've been talking about? If you wanted to, you could go make a cartoon starring him right now for free. You could put Minnie Mouse in it too, and Disney couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't sue you or make you stop. In fact, someone made a horror movie called The Mousetrap. It's about a mass killer who looks like Mickey Mouse. The reason they can make that is because on January 1st of 2024, the original version of Mickey Mouse went into the public domain. That's when a character or story has been around for so long that the copyright expires. That means anyone can use that character without paying for the rights. Disney tried for many years to delay it, but eventually it still happened. And it will keep happening with other Disney characters created after Mickey Mouse. In 2026, Pluto will go into the public domain. In 2030, it will be Donald Duck. And starting in 2036, Marvel's greatest superhero, Captain America, will join them all. Just think, with all that money and power that the Walt Disney Company has, they still can't stop the power of the law. That's why you always want a lawyer on your side. And if you need one, you know who to call. The Hammer. In the immortal words of Walt Disney, if you can dream it, you can do it. I'll see you next time.